One day closer to week one of the college football season, the SEC lands 12 players on the AP All-America first team. We'll tell you who. Auburn suspends a D lineman, and Coach Scott Cochran joins the show. Locked On SEC starts now.
You are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what's up, everybody? Welcome into Locked On SEC. It's great to have you guys along. I'm Chris Gordy. Thanks for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Shout out to everydayers. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. We got plenty to get into, guys, but we got to start with the SEC landing 12 AP All-America first team selections. Of course, number one, Texas landing 3 defensive players on the first team, with edge rusher Colin Simmons, linebacker Anthony Hill, and safety Michael Taff. Alabama, they are represented on the first team by offensive tackle Caden Proctor, and of course, wide receiver Ryan Williams. For Texas A&M, they had guard Armaj Reed Adams. Florida, center Jake Slaughter. Tight end Eli Stowers of Vanderbilt. And then defensively, we got Dylan Stewart off the edge from South Carolina. They listed West Weeks from LSU at linebacker. I'm going to go ahead and fix this typo and assume it is Whit Weeks, but we'll keep an eye on that, see if they come back and make an adjustment there. Whit Weeks led LSU in tackles last year, was one of the leading tacklers in the SEC. His older brother, West Weeks, not so much, but I digress. Cornerback Jermod McCoy from Tennessee, of course, a big-time playmaker. They're expected to be the best corner in the country. And punter Brett Thorson from Georgia. Those are the SEC players to make the first team. So obviously some really good pieces there. And making the second team, you had on offense LSU quarterback Garrett Nussmeier. You had Mizzou guard Caden Green, Alabama center Parker Brailsford, and then wide receiver Auburn, wide receiver Cam Coleman, Georgia kicker Peyton Woodring, and then defensive second team, you had Tim Keenan, D lineman from Alabama. You had Christian Miller, defensive tackle from Georgia, and linebacker, you had Torian York from A&M, Harold Perkins from LSU, and then in the secondary, KJ Bolden from Georgia, and defensive back Kalen Kilgore from South Carolina. So SEC pretty well represented, not a big shocker there. If you're wondering who made those the first team not from the SEC, well, quarterback, they gave it to Clemson quarterback Cade Klubnik. Now, what's interesting is first team quarterback was Cade Klubnik, second team was Garrett Nussmeier. Those two guys play each other next week, so that's going to be fun. Running back, nobody from the SEC, surprisingly, on that first team. Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame, Nick Singleton from Penn State. The second team was Oregon running back Mekhi Hughes and Isaac Brown from Louisville. So no SEC running backs on the first or second team. May someone emerge. The other wide receiver, of course, on the first team, Jeremiah Smith from Ohio State. And then a guy named Jordan Tyson from Arizona State. And then all-purpose player was Desmond Reed from Pitt. So, again, your AP list, not the end-all, be-all list, but certainly a good one of some really good SEC players. And we'll see if those guys live up to the hype. We'll see if some new names emerge as we get into the season. All right, other news going on as we jump around the conference. How about over at Auburn? Season about to start. Hugh Freeze announcing Monday freshman defensive lineman Antonio Coleman suspended indefinitely due to violating team rules. The specifics of what the violation was not publicly announced, but he's 6'1", 256 pounds, was regarded as the number 19 D lineman and number 11 player from the state of Alabama in the class of 2025. Had a stellar high school career, but his college debut will have to hold off a little bit longer. Auburn, by the way, takes on Baylor a week from this Friday in Waco. Going to be a big one. One other note on Auburn, they did officially announce they are going to retire Cam Newton's jersey. Auburn going to announce or going to retire the number 2. Of course, won the Heisman Trophy in 2010, led Auburn to a national championship, and the retirement ceremony going to take place October 11th during Auburn's rivalry game against Georgia at Jordan-Hare Stadium. That is going to be, it was already going to be an electric atmosphere, and now you add Cam Newton's retirement ceremony, jersey retirement to that list. That's going to be pretty darn exciting. By the way, Pat Sullivan and Bo Jackson, other Heisman winners there at Auburn that have had their jerseys retired. All right, over at LSU, some interesting news as their backup quarterback, Michael Van Buren, according to reports, had a splint on his middle or index finger on his throwing hand. Corey Diaz from the Daily Advertiser reporting he took air reps behind formation, but was not really involved in any throwing that we saw. So maybe a little bit of a hand injury there. Hey, look, Garrett Nussmeier, you better be healthy for that game at Clemson. If he were to get banged up at all, you wonder if Michael Van Buren would even be able to go. But again, week and a half out from that, we shall see. All right, how about over at, some news for Texas at least. Julian Sayin going to get the start for Ohio State. That was officially announced this week. So Julian Sayin, the former Alabama commit who transferred to Ohio State, he is officially named the starter over there at Ohio State for the national champs, the reigning national champs, the Buckeyes, going to host Texas a week from Saturday. One other note on Texas, their athletic director, Cristo Conte, set to receive a contract extension. His current deal had him in Austin through 2030. That new extension going to take him through 2036. And my guy is making $2.4 million or $2.5 million this year, $2.6 million next year. And it goes up and up into the $3 millions. So shout out Cristo Conte. It's all about fundraising and all that kind of stuff. And he is getting it done over there at Texas. All right. How about some season ticket news over at South Carolina? They have announced that they have sold out their entire allotment of season tickets for 2025. Big news for Gamecock fans coming off a fantastic season last year. They finished 9-3, won their final 6 games to make a push for the playoff. You bring back Lenora Sellers, Nick Harbor, Dylan Stewart. Everybody's excited there. So South Carolina selling out their tickets. How about over at Florida? They announced they have sold out their season tickets, their allotment of season tickets. Big news is everybody's excited to get a look at DJ Lagway, now the full-time starter. Those who didn't watch the Netflix series, really good on Netflix, the SEC football series. Any given Saturday, I kind of got to see the dynamics behind the scenes of Graham Mertz and DJ Lagway. And we talked to Lagway at SEC Media Days, and he's excited about the opportunity. But loaded schedule, tough schedule. They host Long Island to start in South Florida, not those. But after that, the SEC slate, very tough. We'll see what Florida's able to do there. How about over Georgia? News from the Athens Banner Herald that they are going to attempt to cut down on students reselling their student football tickets. Georgia saying basically they are going to have their students bring a form of ID to home games, and there will be spot checks to confirm the identity of student ticket holders in the student section. So, but can't fault kids for selling their tickets trying to make a buck. But Georgia Athletic Department saying we want to make sure tickets are going to Georgia students and not fans of other teams. An entire season ticket package for Georgia students costs $80 for 7 home games. Not a bad price if you can get it. And finally, one story that I absolutely love. Coach Ed Ogeron appearing on Barstool Sports, pardon my take, saying that he is wanting to get back into coaching. He said, quote, "I think it's time. I'm feeling a little bit. Haven't made the decision totally, but I got my boys settled coaching football now. It's been 4 years since I've been out, and I'm getting the itch again." So I saw some folks saying, look, of all the coaches that are available, John Gruden, Jimbo Fisher, and Ogeron, is there a world we can get all those guys back in the SEC at some point? I think that would be a lot of fun and exciting. Somebody put out there Ed Ogeron at Arkansas, John Gruden at Auburn. I don't know. Again, just saying if there's any jobs open at the end of the season, if anybody gets let go. All right. Still more to come here on Locked On SEC, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. Excited about this interview. Coach, Scott Cochran. He's got a book out. We're going to talk to him about his time coaching and, of course, long stints at Alabama. And then on the back end of his strength and conditioning coaching career at Georgia. We'll talk about that with Scott Cochran coming your way in just a second. First, this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy platform that lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. Preseason is already heating up, and college football is right around the corner. Whether you've got your eye on big-name quarterbacks or breakout running backs, Prize Picks makes it easy to get in the game. Of course, plenty of great NFL talent as we get into the season. You can pick the over, under, more than or less than on how many passing yards Joe Burrow might have, or whatever it is. Prize Picks is very simple to play. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. Prize Picks, they put their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use our code LOCKEDONCollege. That's going to get you $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege. Get $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Prize Picks, you can run your game. This episode also brought to you by our friends over at Drip Drop. If you've been trying to stay on top of your routine, whether that's working out, long days on campus, or just staying focused through back-to-back classes, hydration is where it all starts, and that's where Drip Drop comes in. You want to be on top of your hydration. You're going to notice that everything works better. Your energy, your mood, your focus, even your skin. But getting enough fluids every day isn't always easy, and that's why you're going to love using Drip Drop. It is doctor-developed, scientifically proven for fast hydration. Uses the perfect balance of sodium, electrolytes, and glucose to help your body absorb fluids quickly, delivering 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of a leading sports drink. Again, go check them out. If you got a favorite flavor, man, it's you can't go wrong with any of them that they have. But, of course, we've tried them all over there at Drip Drop. Right now, Drip Drop is offering our Locked On listeners 20% off your first order. Just head to dripdrop.com. Use promo code LOCKEDONCollege. It's dripdrop.com. Promo code LOCKEDONCollege for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits you hard. Rolling along here on the show, and a pleasure to be joined with a guy who is an SEC legend, a football legend, and now an author. He's got a new book coming out called Skull Session. He's a longtime strength and conditioning coach, was at Alabama, was at Georgia, now the head coach at West Alabama. Coach Scott Cochran joins us. Coach, welcome in, man. How are you?
Man, fired up, man. Thank you for having me on.
So I got to start here because you are a New Orleans native like me. Luckily, we were both able to shake our accents, so we don't have the New Orleans accent following us around. But
yeah, baby, I got it.
It comes out. It comes out a little bit. Correct me if I'm wrong. You were a John Curtis guy, right?
John Curtis, baby.
Okay, so I was an Archbishop Rummel guy. You know, Jamar Chase. We've had some guys come from there. I was trying to remember though if there was a guy. I guess when you went to LSU, did you help? There was a guy named Jason Spadoni that went to Curtis. Did you
my God, yeah. Heck yeah, man. Spadoni. There you go.
And then, of course, over at Rummel, I had big Swede Kevin Stelz, who ended up being the blocking fullback on the national championship team. So,
and his brother was Craig Stelz, right?
Yep.
And Craig actually played a big role after we left.
Yeah, and it was on the 07 national championship team at LSU. So a lot of connected dots here. But I saw it. So you went to LSU. Did you play at LSU, or were you just a student?
I did not play college ball. I started coaching my sophomore year of college. I started coaching at the University High Laboratory School.
That's awesome. So yeah, I mean, very rarely does that happen. I mean, you've had some big guys, Charlie Weiss and some other coaches like that never played, but you got into it as a grad assistant on that Saban staff at LSU, and you were off and running.
Yeah, I actually started volunteering as soon as Coach Saban got hired. He hired my high school, John Curtis, strength coach, was Tommy Moffitt. He was my strength coach growing up. And he hired him from, I think he was at Miami. He was at the Hurricanes. Is that right? Yep. He was at Miami, and he hired him over to LSU. So I called him. I was like, bro, I'll cut your grass. I'll scrub your toilets. Let me work for you. And so I started working in 2000 for Coach Saban. So that was pretty cool.
It's wild too. And by the way, Tommy Moffitt, strength coach over at Texas A&M. I mean, he's still doing his thing for a long time now.
The best in the business, brother.
It is wild too. You go back to 2000. I mean, Nick Saban was kind of an unknown. I mean, he was coming from Michigan State. You didn't really know if this was going to work out at LSU. But what's wild coaches to go back and look at some of the guys who were on those early staffs. I mean, everybody from Jimbo Fisher, Adam Gase, Kirby Smart, Will Muschamp, yourself, obviously. I mean, it's wild looking back. It's like an all-star of a who's coaching staff.
Unbelievable. You forgot Derek Dooley. You forgot Michael Haywood. Come on, baby.
So you're part of these teams, you're a grad assistant, all that. Were you automatically kind of skewing more towards strength and conditioning, helping motivate guys in the weight room and all that? Because obviously we know the energy you bring and right. The yelling and all that stuff. But was that where you just kind of started finding your groove and going, this is where I belong?
Really, I looked at Moffitt, right? I looked at Tommy and I was like, you know what? This guy goes home every single night to his family. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to go the strength route so that when I do have a family, I'll actually be able to be present and stuff like that. So I looked at it from a big picture. I guess I've always been a big picture guy, but I looked at it kind of like, okay, I can go into special teams and I can take the Derek Dooley route. Or I looked at Moffitt and I was like, man, he's got a really good job. His toughest time is like summertime. So that would probably be a really good job to have. And so I jumped into strength full go. And then when the Hornets called, I coached in the NBA for 3 seasons or 2.5 seasons. It was kind of like, okay, I'm all in on strength. Let's go for it. You know?
When you're the strength coach, do you have to be the first guy in the building? Like, are you the guy getting in, turning the lights on and all that?
Of course, you have to. It's just part of the deal.
And then kind of, and we'll talk about all the stops you've been, but like, you talk about summers where you're doing most of the work in season. What's kind of a strength coach's role in season as we're going week to week?
You know, I think now the strength coach is more of like doing exercises to keep them healthy. My job when I was to take care of the mentality, right? To keep them mentally and physically tough. And then to help the guys that are not on the field. You know, those are the hardest ones because you got to think about it. You know, I've coached at LSU, Alabama, and Georgia. Every freshman that walks in the door is a 10-star. You know, they've never watched. Like, they've never watched. Like, in 8th grade, there was a 9th grade team. There was an 8th grade team. You know, there was a JV team. And by the time they were, like, every time they put a helmet on, they played. And so then they come to college. They're bigger. They're faster. They're stronger. They have a better routine, better coaches, and now they're watching. So it was really hard on those guys, you know, because they got all the noise. Mama saying, oh, you should be playing. Oh, you should be doing this. And I got to call mama and say, hey, mama, be mama. Don't be daddy. Be mama. And just listen to your son complain, but he's doing the right thing. So it was like my in-season job was kind of, you know, keep the mentality right.
That's awesome. And I'm sure you talk all about this in the new book, Skull Session, coming out, Mastering the Mental Game. Just kind of take everybody on the timeline a little bit. So Nick Saban, 05, leaves for the Miami Dolphins. Was there any conversation about you going that route, or did you want to stay in Louisiana?
I had already left. So in the middle of the 04 season, that's when the Hornets called. And before the season, people don't remember this stuff, but I'd never forget. Before the season started, there was this conversation of Coach Saban going to the Bears. And I was like, man, I don't know how this is going to, I don't see myself moving up within the organization. He's probably going to do the NFL. I'm going to take the best job that comes available. So in the middle of the season, the Hornets called and they offered me, financially, it made me able to actually propose to my wife. So I was like, I'm jumping in, and 15 players compared to 130. Yeah. It's a little bit.
Well, and what's wild is the guys you have. I mean, David West was a really good player. Chris Paul ends up getting drafted. J.R. Smith. I mean, there were some really good players. But correct me if I'm wrong. Hurricane Katrina hits. Wasn't that you guys moved to OKC? Did you went with the team? You all moved to Oklahoma City?
Yeah. So I was with him the year before, and then during the off season, the hurricane hit. I was actually on my honeymoon when the hurricane hit. I was on a cruise from Cozumel, Mexico to New Orleans when the hurricane hit. But yeah, I went to Oklahoma City. We were the Oklahoma City / New Orleans Hornets for I think 2 seasons. I left in the middle of the second season in 2007 to go with Nick to Alabama.
So I was going to ask, 07, the rumor comes. Well, first the press conference says, I don't know how many times I got to say it, I'm not going to be the Alabama head coach. And then he becomes the Alabama head coach. But when's that phone call come, hey, let's have a reunion here?
So I was we were playing the Hawks, and I was at a restaurant the night before, and I saw it on, he was all over ESPN. He's taking the Alabama job. And then I get the phone call the next day. And we're playing the Hawks that night. I remember I'm in the hotel room, and he calls and he says, I need you to come be my strength coach and do what you do on special teams. And I was like, yes, sir. I have a day off tomorrow. I can be there tomorrow. And he's like, okay, we'll get here. I said, whoa, I got a problem. And he's like, what? I said, look, strength coaches in the NBA, we wear sweats. And I only packed for one night. So all I have is these New Orleans velour, baby, velour sweats. And he says, I'm not hiring you to be my banker. I'm hiring you to be my strength coach. I'm like, okay. So I get to the hotel in Atlanta, and it's like 1 a.m. by the time I get to the hotel because we played the Hawks or whatever. And, man, I was like, you know what? I was 27. I was like, man, the last time I worked for him, I was just an assistant strength coach. I got to show him I'm the man. I went to Walmart at 2 a.m., bought me a navy blue jacket, red power tie, white button down, khakis, belt, shoes. I was ready to go, baby.
I got to ask, I mean, you grew up your whole life as a Louisiana guy and LSU guy. How tough was that to switch allegiances? Because I'm sure the whole family and relatives, they're all LSU people.
Everybody was LSU. I mean, look, it was not difficult. I'll put it that way.
When they write that paycheck, it's not.
It wasn't. It was a no-brainer in my mind. I mean, obviously, basketball was going really well. We had, just made it to the playoffs for the first time in years for the team. So it was going really good. But come on now, when the GOAT calls, you can't say no to that guy.
More with Coach Scott Cochran in just a minute. But first, if you are running a business, every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you needed a service. If the first person didn't answer, did you wait? Probably not. You moved on. That's why you need Open Phone, so you never miss an opportunity to connect with your customers. Open Phone is the #1 business phone system designed to streamline and scale your customer communications. Do you juggle 2 phones just to keep business and personal calls separate? Open Phone has solved that instantly. Your whole team could share one phone number and respond to customers like a shared inbox. No more who's handling this, who's got that. And the AI agent handles after-hour calls, answer common questions, and captures leads, so you never miss a customer again. See why over 60,000 businesses already trust Open Phone. They are offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first 6 months. You just head to openphone.com/lockedoncollege. That's openphone.com/lockedoncollege. They'll even port over your existing number for free. Open Phone, no missed calls, no missed customers with Open Phone. We're talking with Coach Scott Cochran, and of course, his new book coming out, Skull Session. He's now the head coach at West Alabama. I look back at those early days at Alabama, man, and you were, when I guess hype videos started to become a thing, and you're popping up everywhere. Everybody's going, "Who the hell is this guy?" I mean, what a nut job over there to get everybody fired up. And I look back though, man, like they needed that for Alabama, for Nick Saban to get his program instilled there at Alabama. Of course, he was doing it on the recruiting front, but the development and the training, he needed a guy like you to instill that toughness.
Yeah, and you talked about it when we just before we got on. I'm from New Orleans. I went to a school called John Curtis where we never lost. My high school career, I lost 2 games, and so. Like, I've always been a part of winning cultures. And when Coach Saban, I learned at LSU, like this guy, his attention to detail, the little things that he does is basically what I know. So man, it was like a glove, man. It fit perfect fit for me because I believed in all the things that he was already preaching.
So take me through a little bit. I know your time at Alabama, and then you end up at Georgia, and somewhere around that time frame is when the bad part started, right? With the pillaging and all that.
Yeah. So I like it. The bad part, the dark, disgusting, awful addiction, the disease of addiction. I went to the docs. I was getting these migraines, and they were really bad. Like a vice cranking on my temples, and it was daily. It wasn't like every couple of days. It was every day. And the doc's like, it's from yelling. You guys got to stop yelling. And I said, okay, doc, stop breathing. And so, they did all the scan. They did everything. Okay. No stone was left unturned because I was in a lot of pain. And then he said, hey, I'm going to write you oxycodone. And this is 2010. There's not a lot of he'd said these are addictive. And I'm thinking like, look, dude, I'm a strength coach. Like, I'm not going to get addicted. I'm like a mental conditioning guy, that's for the guy under the bridge. And sure enough, within 6 months, I was hooked and I could not stop to save I just couldn't stop because they worked, that was the part. Like, it took my headache away. Like, you're telling me I can coach my tail off. I can yell over the loudspeaker and I'm not in the corner, like putting ice on my head between every group. That's insane. Like, I can work all day. And the addiction just got worse and worse. So that by 2019, I'm trying to get out of there because I'm thinking, man, my problem's Tuscaloosa. It's not me. Right. So I try to outrun the disease in 2020. And so I think, hey, if I go to Georgia, I'm not going to be the strength coach. I'll be the special teams coordinator. I won't have to yell as much so my head won't hurt. Well, you forget how bad withdrawals are. So I show up to Athens and the first day I'm sick as a dog. And I'm like, I can't be sick on my first day on the job. So I just kept going and it just progressed and got worse until April 10th, 2020, I overdosed. It was during COVID. My wife found me on the ground dead. And so, that's when, it's kind of like my wife got smacked by, we're having all this success. Life is going. So I got the white picket fence. My kids are in private school. Like, I got it all. I'm winning championships, I'm making the money. Everything's great. And just talk about smacked. I mean, it calls the EMT. They're trying to figure out what the heck's going on, jumping on my chest, Narcan, all the stuff, and my road to recovery is why I wrote Skull Session. It's a piece that it's like the reason why I'm here, right? God's got me here because there was a point when I was addicted to fentanyl. So one pill can kill you. Yeah. And I was taking so many a day that like I shouldn't be here. And so I wanted to find a way to help others, and that's what this book's going to do. And I'm using a lot of different angles to try to help people get better because the freedom of recovery, but then there's also these little steps you take that we've taken since LSU days and kind of cultivated this mental conditioning program for student athletes that can go to the business world, that can go to whomever that's trying to excel. So if you're, in an organization, or if you're a person that's just trying to get better, it's for that person too, because it's a roadmap, right? Everybody's like, oh yeah, just write your goals down and you'll achieve them. No, that's not the case. Like literally you got to dig in and actually see what goals that'll help you get to where you're trying to go. And man, it was fun. It was fun writing it with Ivan Mazel. He's a stud. He's a really a stud. And I was honored when he said yes, that he would do it. Really fired up because he was my first pick on the draft, right? And he said yes. And man, it was fun to get it out. And now it's out there, baby. Let's go.
I love it, Coach, because again, I could go on for days just hearing your old stories of all the stops you've been and what went into winning those national championships. I mean, most people chase one championship. You were part of, a ton. But then on the other side too, I mean, what you're talking about, addiction, it's not something that just a few people suffer from. Tons of people in this country deal with it. So it's such a cool thing and an intersection. You getting to tell your story, and can't wait to sit down and read it. And like you talked about, Ivan Mazel, one of the greatest sports writers of our time. I think this is a perfect time for you and kind of hitting the reset button. And now you as a head coach, how did this thing happen with coming to West Alabama?
My wife and I made a decision in January of 24. We had just played Florida State in the bowl game, and my wife checked me at the bowl game. She was like, "Hey, I know you're struggling. I don't know if you've picked back up or if you're about to, but you're not right." And I had picked up. I had started back. I had I had 2 years clean, and I was going into 2.5 years, and I had a relapse. And my wife grabbed me and she was like, we can stop working at Georgia. And I was like, whatever, no way I can. Who would I be without football, And so I sat for a year, started a nonprofit, trying to help others in recovery, trying to help people, win the day, so to speak. And December came around and the phone started ringing. And I was like, I don't know. And I had some really cool calls, some really interesting ones. But when you pray and you get sidetracked, you're in prayer, you're trying to pray, you're trying to meditate, you're trying to find your connection with God. Every opportunity that came, it was kind of like no response, And then West Alabama called, and I was like, "Are you sure you have the right number?" I'm a strength coach. That's what people know me as. I did special teams. You want me to be your head coach? And they were like, "Yes." And God just said right here, this one, here's where you're going to make the most impact. And I was like, let's do it, and it was really cool. You talk about a very easy, everything has been smooth. We haven't played a game yet, so that'll be hard, right?
Right.
That's going to be tough. But we'll prepare. We'll do all the stuff we're supposed to do. I'll try not to go for it on every fourth down. I'll try not to cuss out the officials.
Right.
I'll try not to lose it on my staff. I'm just trying to learn from the people I've been around, right?
I got to think too, Coach, it's got to be, at a place like that, in this day and age, look, we're dealing with transfer portal, NIL, all this other stuff. At a place like West Alabama, it's got to be about the football, right? Kids want
it really is.
They want to play football. They want to be developed and all that. And so in a way, it kind of is a perfect spot at this time where y'all can focus on football and development.
Yes. it's so cool because, in at the D2 level, there's a bunch of ways to skin it, right? You get 36 scholarships, right? So you could give, 36 guys a scholarship, or you can do kind of like what baseball has always done and give people percentages. And that's how we've done it. And, every single player on my team pays something. And that's like the complete opposite of the world that I've been in, right? The complete opposite. It's kind of like bringing it back to, Alabama days, when it wasn't any of that, when it wasn't about that, it was about, hey, I could get to the NFL. Like the thing you always worried about back then was, should I leave after my third year, or should I stay? Now, my God, every minute, trying to navigate an 18, 19-year-old kid trying to figure all that out, man. Maybe this book should be for all of them too, at the end of the day, because for their families to see, like, hey, this is what it takes to get where you're dreaming of going. Like this, these are the simple, not easy, again, simple but not easy steps to get where you're trying to go. Like it's tough on these kids and tough on the coaching world. I mean, look at all the coaches that have retired because of it.
Yeah. You think that's why Saban got out, all this stuff?
For sure. I mean, no doubt about it. I mean, he's the cupboard is full still. Right. At Alabama, right? He's not
doing well on game day. I thought he's pretty good as an analyst.
He's killing it. I mean, talk about the Madden era, right? Like he won, or he almost won the championship Madden, and he goes to broadcasting and has a huge career. I think Nick's about to do the same thing,
Well, here's what you guys need to do. Have a winning season, and maybe down the road, we got game day coming to campus at West Alabama.
Come on, tell them to come to Livingston, Alabama, baby. Come check us out.
I love it. One more time, the book is out this week, Skull Session, Mastering the Mental Game, Coach Scott Cochran. Coach, it's been a pleasure. A few times I've run into you over the years. Keep doing your thing, man. Great story, great inspirational tale, and keep crushing it, man. I know you're going to keep winning.
Yes, sir. That's the plan. Appreciate you.
All right. Thanks again to Scott Cochran for joining us. Again, his book out right now. Thank you guys for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Hey, for your second listen, check out The Portal Show. Brian Smith has got you covered with all the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. Find The Portal on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast. I'm Chris Gordy. This has been Locked On SEC. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.